Welcome back. In this video, I give you some tips to, to visit Los Angeles. If you want to visit Los Angeles, if you want to have for instance, a short vacation, a 3 days trip to Los Angeles. This video, I give you some tips, some suggestions, some advice. Let's start. If you only have 3 days in Los Angeles and are wondering where to start, you've come in the right place because I will suggest to you some tips in this video. I can give you some good advice and tips for visiting the city. I can also help you to plan the perfect 3 days Los Angeles itinerary that will leave you with lots of great memories. It's hard to know where to begin when you visit a large city like Los Angeles. Unlike other metropolises around the world, Los Angeles attractions are spread all over for miles and miles. If you're coming from a smaller place, you will most likely feel overwhelmed here in this city. One thing to consider when planning your Los Angeles itinerary is the notorious Los Angeles traffic, which will limit your ability to cover a lot of ground in these 3 days. So that means that you can't put together a list of a 20 some odd objective and expect to hit them all. With the itinerary that I will suggest, you will be able to see some of the Los Angeles most iconic places without rushing. If you try to squeeze more into these 3 days, will only drain your energy and leave you tired and a bit confused. Some of the places that I included in this list are totally free, so you're not supposed to pay anything, which is always a plus. So, here is our trip plan. 3 days in Los Angeles. The first day, I suggest to you, day one, to go to visit Santa Monica Pier, Malibu, and Venice Beach. Santa Monica is one of the most romantic getaways in California. The 72 miles of a coastline and approximately 330 days of sunshine are a magnet for the visitors in Los Angeles. Besides, the coastal area are among the most scenic places in Southern California. In all there are over 60 beaches on this incredible stretch of a coastline. Therefore, I think it's the best if you start your Los Angeles trip itinerary at the beach. The closest and most popular ones to downtown Los Angeles are Santa Monica, Venice, and Malibu. Stroll on the Santa Monica beach and pier for free. You can start your 3 days itinerary at Santa Monica Beach, just a short 20-minute drive from downtown Los Angeles. There is plenty of parking, restroom, and beachside cafes along the beach. The paved path to follow the shoreline all the way to Venice Beach is paradise for rollerblading, biking, or walking. There are many small shops where you can rent bikes, rollerblades, chair, and umbrellas. You can either lay down on the beach or grab a bicycle and cruise from the pier to Venice Beach and back. The most popular spot in Santa Monica is the pier at the foot of Colorado Avenue. This bustling wooden wharf is where the action is. With its shop, small restaurant, arcade, roller coaster, and giant Ferris wheel, the historic Santa Monica Pier continues to be the main attraction of Los Angeles for families with kids. Drive to Malibu. Malibu is a must, no matter how many days you have in Los Angeles. This is where the famous Pacific Coast Highway drive starts. Here is where you'll see some of the most picturesque stretches of a beach in Southern California. The beaches in Malibu are, however, very different from the ones in Santa Monica or Venice. Some of them are private, so they allow alcohol on the beach, but they are notorious for the huge parking fees, very expensive. In Malibu, you will find surf beaches and stretches of shore with tide pools, caves, and strange rock formation. If you want to explore the caves and rock formation, you should come prepared with good shoes because you have to work down a big bluff. Los Angeles Itinerary Day 2, Getty Center and the Griffith Observatory. You should make your second day, Los Angeles, a museum day, but not just any museum. The Getty Center is more than just a museum and is a very impressive place to visit. You don't have to be a huge art or museum devotee to fall in love with this iconic site. The Getty Center sits high up on a hill overlooking the city and is connected to the parking lot at the bottom by a funicular. The museum has numerous galleries that spread out in multiple buildings. The center holds the best and most valuable art collection in Los Angeles. In addition to its extensive artwork collection and unique architecture, the Getty Center features an impressive garden. The Central Garden, designed by artist Robert Arwin, sprawls over 134,000 square feet of green space. You can easily spend an entire day here admiring the outstanding art collections. Visit the Griffith Observatory. You can end up your second day in Los Angeles with a sunset visit at the Griffith Observatory. The observatory features space-related exhibits, star shows in the planetarium and telescope. Admission to the observatory's building, grounds, and telescopes is always free. However, you will have to buy a ticket for planetarium show. The grounds of the observatory are very beautiful, featuring some terraces from where you get a bird-eye view of the entire valley. On a clear day, you can see all the way to Santa Monica from up here. To get to Griffith Observatory, you can either use public transportation or you can share a bike or walk. Maybe there is 2 miles walking distance. Don't miss the Hollywood sign. On the opposite hill, right across from the Griffith Observatory, you can catch an unobstructed view of the Hollywood sign, one of the most iconic sites in Los Angeles. The worldwide symbol of the United States movie industry has an interesting beginning. Many people believe that the Hollywood sign was part of a movie set, but it was actually an outdoor billboard for a real estate development. Los Angeles Itinerary Day 3. No Los Angeles itinerary would be complete without a visit to the famous Hollywood, as touristy as this place may be, but it should be part of your Los Angeles list of attractions, especially if this is your first time you visit the city. Hollywood enjoys an international reputation like no other place in the world, although some parts of the area are undeniably derelict. Hollywood still sparkles with glamour. Walk the Sunset Strip. You can start your last day in Los Angeles with a walk on the famous Sunset Strip. The strip is 1.5 miles stretch of Sunset Boulevard that passes through West Hollywood. Sunset Boulevard extends from Hollywood all the way to Beverly Hills. The Sunset Strip is home to flashy boutique, high-end restaurants and nightclubs, as well as a huge colorful billboards. And it's not impossible to bump into celebrity at one of the hotel bars in West Hollywood or in one of the high-end boutique on Rodeo Drive. Visit the Chinese Theater. The Chinese Theater became famous for being the venue of the Academy Awards ceremony from 1944 to 1946, but most visitors are lured here by the celebrity handprints and footprints in the concrete of the theater's forecourt. The tradition began during the theater construction, when one of the Hollywood legends at the time accidentally stepped into the wet cement outside the building. Instead of covering the imprint, the theater owner, Sid Grauman, encouraged other celebrities to repeat the mistake, and so it all began. The courtyard is usually cluttered with tourists trying to snap a shot of the famous imprints. In 2013, after extensive renovation, the Chinese Theater was turned into a grandiose 1923-seater IMAX auditorium that projects stunning quality movies. If interested, you can still watch a movie in this iconic landmark. To the Dolby Theater. Right next to the Chinese Theater on Hollywood Boulevard is Dolby Theater, the current and permanent home of the Academy Awards. Dolby Theater opened its door in 2001 as the Kodak Theater. Its facade is at the front of the Hollywood and Island Center. You can take a guided tour of the theater all year round, except for the time leading up the Academy Awards in February, when the Dolby Theater is off limits shopping area with boutique and souvenir shops. If the Oscars are your thing, you will find the tour very interesting. The guide will take you on the red carpet path that the celebrities follow from Hollywood Boulevard into the theater. You'll see the VIP room, the green room, and then you go out onto the stage. You will also see where the actors sit while they wait to hear if their name will be called. Walk the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The Walk of Fame is an internationally recognized Hollywood icon. It encompasses over 2,605 pointed stars made of terrazzo and brass and embedded in sidewalk along Hollywood Boulevard. What began as a Chamber of Commerce marketing tactic is today one of Los Angeles' biggest magnets It attracts an estimated of 10 million visitors each year. Unfortunately, the work's fame is always crowded with customer character offering to take picture with the visitors, illegal street vendors handing out CDs and tickets and shady characters. However, you shouldn't skip this famous landmark if you are in Los Angeles for 3 days, even if you only take a few steps up and down the street to see what the buzz is all about. Tour the Disney Concert Hall. Disney Hall has been one of Los Angeles' top architectural landmarks since it opened in 2003. Designed by architect Frank Gehry, the monumental structure resembles a sailing ship. How to move around Los Angeles. There's some recommendation here, some suggestion. The places of interest in Los Angeles are as spread out, so you won't be able to walk between them. Whether you have 1, 2, or 3 days in Los Angeles, you'll either have to rent a car or use public transportation. By car, the best way to explore the city is definitely by car, but driving in Los Angeles may be quite challenging. If you don't want to face the city infernal traffic, and tricky parking signs, you will be better off using public transportation. Plenty of Los Angeles neighborhoods are not only walkable, but connected to one another by train. The Los Angeles metro system works good and has many stops. By public transport, to use the metro, purchase a tap card at any metro station from one of the vending machines. There are 3 main lines: the red line, the purple line, and the expo line. Things to consider when planning a 3 days trip to Los Angeles, a 3-day itinerary. There are some facts about Los Angeles that you probably already know. But the first thing you should be aware of is that Los Angeles is massive. This fact pervades nearly all the advice that follow and will definitely influence your Los Angeles itinerary. Los Angeles points of interest are spread quite far apart from each other, so don't assume that you can figure out an itinerary as you go. Another important thing to know is that Los Angeles is very eclectic. It's made up of hundreds of neighborhoods that look and feel quite different from each other. Decide what's the best area to stay in Los Angeles as a visitor may be difficult. While downtown Los Angeles modern and contemporary neighborhoods like Altadena or North Hollywood are way calmer and laid back. What is the best time to visit Los Angeles? If you're asking yourself what could be the best time to travel to California, you should know that there is no good, bad, or good time for your trip. There is no, good or bad time for your trip. The weather is perfect almost year-round, and no matter where you visit, when you visit. You'll always have plenty to do in Los Angeles, even in December. However, you should be aware that during July and August, temperature sometimes climb up 100 Fahrenheit or over. That may be a concern for something too much time outside, except for the beaches. How to save money on a 3-day trip to Los Angeles. Visiting Los Angeles is on many travelers' bucket list. Anyone wants to visit Los Angeles. But the cost involved scare many people away. The good news is that 3 days in Los Angeles won't break the bank. There are many inexpensive hotels in the suburb around Los Angeles that you can choose. You can also choose to rent an entire house or an apartment to Airbnb. The best way to save money on sightseeing is to buy the Go Los Angeles card. All you have to do is just to pick up the number of days you are in Los Angeles and you are ready to do unlimited sightseeing. You can also build your own card and you will save 20% of the gate ticket on the gate ticket, but you can choose to see only what interests you. I hope this guide, will help you to make the most of your 3-day trip to Los Angeles and go home with some good memories. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.